Mr. Lichtenberg, what a good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Congratulations for the correspondence between you and the Chinese president. Mm-hmm. I saw your photo right outside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs holding the returning letter coming from the Chinese president. I really wonder, how do you value his response?
Well, first of all, I'm very humbled and also surprised that he responded to our letters. But I think the significance, of course, from a Danish businesses in China point of view, is big, because it's of course we all know that the Chinese government supports Danish businesses in China. We know that, but a letter from the president himself is a very unique underlining the importance of Danish businesses in China. So we are all very proud.
In the letter, he talked about China, investing in China is investing for the future. That's quite a slogan coming from the Chinese side, but I just wonder from a business perspective, is that a reality?
The Chinese economy has been growing a lot over the since the opening up in 45 years ago, right? And foreign investors have been welcome, and a lot of Danish companies have been here 30 years and are doing really, really well. And although the current geopolitical environment is complicated, US-China trade war, different things going on in the world, it's not just free trade and globalization as it was. It's changed. But China is in my opinion, no matter what, a very strong and steady force. So investing in China means a lot of different things, in my opinion. One part is manufacturing, which is a very evident sector. China is 30% of global manufacturing. And Chinese manufacturing is second to none. Not in every single field, but in many fields. And what do I mean when I say that? The whole supply chain, components, transportation, infrastructure, ports, airports, talent, R&D, and a very hardworking and very agile and fast-moving, way of doing business, and on top, of course, automation. And within our sector, I mean, my company we are making a traditional product, sofas, which is kind of labor-intensive and a little bit old school, you can say. But even we do a lot of automation. We have AGVs moving things. So you kind of have to be in China. You have to invest in China in order to be part of the future.
Well, you are a manufacturer.
Yes.
But I understand as a result of the tariff war, one economy against all the others in the world, you have to find so-called alternative on your supply chain, alternative in other parts of Asia. How is it so far?
Our company is highly dependent on export to the US, made in China. And originally there was 25%, and many people tend to forget that, but that's been on for 5-6 years now.
That's Trump 1.0.
Trump 1.0, 25% still on, 60% of Chinese exports still have 25% on, plus the 145% from the current trade war. That was 170%. That has not now come down after the talks in Geneva. It's come down to 50%. Yeah, it's come down temporarily. And the reciprocal tariffs have come down to 30%, but there was still the 25%, meaning 55%. Anyway, it's still massive. It's not possible to manufacture efficient consumer goods in China with those high tariffs. So what we have been forced to do is to set up a factory in Vietnam and one in Mexico. And both of them are running well, and we've had the Vietnam factory was set up very late. The day Trump was elected, we signed the lease for the factory in Vietnam. And today we are running at more than 100 containers a month. So it's been really, really fast set up, but it's all Chinese technology and the Chinese technical staff that's helping the Vietnamese team to do it. But that being said, the supply chain is not the same as in China. The efficiency is not the same. The labor cost is about half, but the efficiency is less, and the cost of the materials is higher. So overall, the cost out of Vietnam is about 12-15% higher than China. So from a consumer value point of view, it's much better to do it in China.
The argument is to bring manufacturing back to the United States. As a manufacturer yourself, I'm sure you have done your research.
Yes.
About that possibility. How much?
First of all, there's no skilled workers for our business in the US. Secondly, there's not enough labor that wants to do manual work. On top of that, it's much more costly to do it in the US. Other than that, a lot of materials for the current manufacturers in the US comes from China. So adding tariffs to get manufacturing back to the US it's not really working. It kind of works. Of course, it depends on the industry, right? But in our industry, it doesn't work at all.
I see there's one winner, if there is, and many losers.
I don't know who the winner is, but there's a lot of losers for sure.
So it sounds like you're suggesting the world is moving backward.
Free trade and globalization is moving backwards, in my opinion. And that's a pity. It's not good for the world economy. It's not good for the, the whole globe is facing climate change. That's a very critical challenge for the globe. And that can best be done if you use free open trade and globalization. Like China has a lot of green technology that the whole world needs. From a global perspective, we need all the cheap green technology we can get.
So you talk about global situation. What about bilateral situation? As you are the founding president of the Danish chamber in China, it seems that bilaterally the trade is going very well.
Yes.
So do you see there is a quiet corner, an exciting corner out of this chaotic sea?
That's a good question, actually. I think that Denmark and China has been good friends for many years, and Denmark was the second Western country to recognize China, the People's Republic of China. So that's why we are having the 75th anniversary. And I think that overall the relationship is good. And a lot of Danish companies are doing great business here, and they are very, confident, and they're expanding the investment. Mostly it's for China, in China, for China. So it's developing products for the Chinese market, which is going well. So you can say that there is a good relationship, and that is continuing. I don't know if it's a quiet corner, but it's going well.
So as the president of Danish chamber, how do you work with your own politicians back at home to make sure they understand how businesses work?
The way we work with the Danish government is the recommendation points we make as the chamber to the Chinese central government, we also share with them and we discuss with them, and they turn them into the Danish political leaders, and we also give this to the Confederation of Danish Industries. And this year, we also made recommendations to Denmark. That's a new thing. We never did that before. And the chamber handed these kind of recommendations over to the foreign minister last night here in Beijing. He's on a visit.
China recently have been repeatedly voiced is welcoming foreign investment in China, and also there has been new rules coming out encouraging foreign investors and also foreign businesses. Among all of those latest development policies, which to you is the most valuable? For the chamber, I think the negative list being smaller, the manufacturing negative list is 0 now. I think that's important. I think the whole sentiment of very much welcoming the points from a chamber point of view, our recommendation points are being taken very seriously and being used across the country. I think that's a great achievement. Do you trust the words of the Chinese government? Of course, I do. The key is in the implementation. When you get to a local level, maybe the court is not fully trained, or they're not aware, or maybe there's some local business interest that has to be taken care of, and so on, stuff like that. So it's an implementation issue, and this year's recommendation paper from the Danish Chamber of Commerce is almost entirely focusing on implementing the current rules. The rules are good, but the implementation is not always good. You came to China in 1980s, right? Yes, 87. Studied in China? Yes. Lived in China for decades? Yes. Also helping many from your home country to have a better future here in China. I want to show you this photo. I did a little research. And you know this person. Yes. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is, yes. Who is he? Tell us. He is Wilhelm Meyer. And I really wonder, how is he going to look at what you are doing here in China? Oh, I think he would be very proud
of what we're doing here.
Tell us more about
Yeah,
him.
so Wilhelm Meyer was a Danish businessman. He came out here with Store Nord, the company that laid the first telegraph cables between China and the US was a Danish company because Denmark was strong in shipping. So this company, he came here as an employee of that company, and then in 1906, he started his own company. And this company was doing installations of electricals and gas and other things on buildings in Shanghai in the 20s and 30s, and was the first distributor of GE, General Electric products in China. So it was an entrepreneur, a Danish entrepreneur who came to China and did his own business, and then he actually he was the initiator of establishing the first Danish Chamber of Commerce in China in 1931 in Shanghai.
Of course, that was then.
Yes.
Now today the chamber is a different one.
Of course, it's a very different one, yes.
But having said that though, it takes tremendous pioneering spirit and entrepreneurship to be able to do what he did.
Yes.
How would you compare his generation with yours?
I think the change of speed is so much faster because of communication, and the whole world is running so fast, and everything is, everybody knows everything immediately.
And China is a very different one.
Yes, for sure. China is very open to foreign investors, and the environment is very welcoming, but the world needs to understand China better. I think that what is very much, and with what we are advocating for, including what we're telling the Danish government, is try to understand more about China. Understand how China works, what are the intentions, the motivations, how is the Chinese environment, but also the Chinese government. I think the Chinese governance or the government system is maybe some of the least understood parts of China from the Western perspective.